Hey guys, I'm Fun Flex. Today I'm going to talk about ethical engagement rings. I kind of want to just touch base on like what's that actually mean, because I know for you guys it's more and more important. It's something that I think has come around because the jewelry industry, like the fashion industry, has become very scrutinized because of the harmful ways that we've been extracting our gemstones, our diamonds, and not only just like the extraction itself and the harm that it does to the environment, but also just like the labor condition. So like, what does it mean, right? What does an ethically sourced engagement ring mean, or jewelry in general? For one, the materials used, so the gold and the gemstones or diamonds, they come from places that are conflict-free zones. So there's zones that are not in civil war, they're not in war. When they're being purchased from these areas, it's not contributing to terrorism, it's not contributing to fuel war. Another thing is like, how do we actually know that they're ethically sourced? So an easy one, if you just really want to be sure, you can buy your diamonds and your gemstones from Canada, Australia, the US. That's kind of like a for sure safety net, right? Because in Canada we have very strict standards. Of course, it's going to be child labor free. The staff are going to have fair wages. The working conditions, right? In Canada, the US, we have very high standards of work conditions. So like, for example, if you want colored gemstones, a very easy one is to just go for sapphires. They come in numerous of colors. There's the Montana sapphires, the Australian sapphires. So those are kind of like easy picks. You can also do Canadian diamonds, Australian diamonds. We have very nice diamonds here in Canada. For sure, you have to take into consideration like they're going to be more expensive because, you know, even just paying for the labor is going to be more expensive in Canada than it is, say, in Thailand, right? So you have to keep that into consideration. Another thing that you want to make sure is that they are being cut in the proper facilities, because they could be they could be mined in Canada, but they could be shipped up to, I don't know, anywhere, Malaysia, for example, for the cutting, because it's extremely cheap, but then their work conditions aren't necessarily great. So you have to be kind of careful for that. You really want to make sure that the process from A to Z has been ethically done. Oftentimes also, when I will be buying an ethical gemstone, some of my dealers will actually provide kind of like, I can't show the whole invoice, but they will provide this shiny sticker like this. So that way I know that this gemstone is ethically sourced, because otherwise they wouldn't be putting the sticker on it. So it's kind of just like a little seal of approval that I know that if I needed the paperwork and I needed the documentation to prove that it was ethically sourced, they would have it. That's actually for this big bad beauty, this white sapphire. But I really want you guys to keep in mind that just because it may not be from like a first world country, that it's a bad, like it's a no bueno, you know what I'm saying? I really want you to know that they can also be ethically sourced even though they are from, you know, third world countries. You really have to work with your dealers like me in finding these sources and having like the proper origin documents. When I'll work with, for example, Lariane, she actually, my dealer, she goes to all of these places and she buys from the mines directly herself, working with the small like mining families and the small villages around the mining communities. And so she knows like the people who are mining it, she knows the conditions, she can vouch for it being ethically sourced, even though it's not from, say, like a first world country. She knows from A to Z who's mined it, all the way up to like the facilities where the gemstones are cut as well. Mining is a huge industry. In fact, if we stopped buying from these small mines, it would actually do a lot of damage, because that is their main source of revenue. It's kind of like, I don't want you guys to discriminate. It's kind of like you have to play it by piece by piece by piece. These are dealers that like, they make their living off of this, so they're not going to just say whatever to make a sale, right? She's very strict. If I go in looking for ethical gemstones, like she pulls away everything that is not ethical. Also, another really like cool last one, I have had clients in the past who've also wanted to make an ethical engagement ring, and they actually chose a completely different path, which I thought was like really cool, because I've done a lot of jewelry transformations of people's like heirloom jewelry, and that's always an option. But that's kind of like only an option if you already have the heirloom jewelry to repurpose. So if you don't have the jewelry to repurpose, I have had a client inquire about redoing a ring that she had actually bought at kind of like, you know, like those like vintage wholesalers, like they buy back old jewelry and then resell it. So she was looking into buying a huge sapphire ring that we're gonna remelt the gold and recut the sapphire into a different shape. So that's also an option that's like really interesting, and that doesn't contribute to additional mining of materials. So if you're concerned about not only like the ethical side of like the labor involved and the people involved in the mining, but also like the environmental impacts, then that is like a super cool way of like working around it, because there's a lot of really cool old jewelry on the market already. So it's something definitely to consider. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it answers some of your questions. I didn't touch too much on the gold, just because the gold that I use is already conflict free from a base. I do use recycled gold when clients bring in their gold, but I've never really had the request to use fair trade gold, so I can't answer too many questions on that. I know that it is a thing as well. I think it's definitely less popularized. I think generally clients tend to focus more on like the gemstones, which is why I'm focusing more on the gemstones today. So yeah, if you want to work with me, send me an email. I have the link down below. I'd love to source gemstones for you. It's a very fun process, so if it's something that you're interested in, like I said, get in touch and we can get started. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.